Hello everyone, we are here at the Enterprise Wearable Technology Summit in Houston at St. Regis Hotel, and we have our distinguished guest, and I want to let them introduce themselves. Would you please?
Sure, I'm Melissa Saelzer. I work for Lockheed Martin, and I work in wearable technologies, including head-mounted displays and e-textiles.
Very good. I'm Homero Rivas. I'm one of the bariatric digestive surgeons at Stanford University. I direct the innovation surgery area. I work with wearables, especially augmented reality, virtual reality, inside and outside the operating room.
My name is Rafael Grossman. I'm a general surgeon. I'm also a technology innovator, is what some people call me, a futurist of healthcare. I'm very much an active clinical surgeon, but I'm also always excited and very passionate about using technology to improve what we do in healthcare, including wearable technology, smart glasses, etc.
Hi, I'm Andrew Ferguson. I'm one of the co-founders of Brain Exchange, and I spend all day, every day, just researching with companies like healthcare, logistics, oil and gas, and just find the absolute best use cases that we possibly can find on wearable technology and the enterprise use, and organize conferences like the Enterprise Wearable Technology Summit.
Very well. As a matter of fact, Andrew, could you sum up what we are doing here at the summit? What is it all about?
Sure. So this summit is all about cross-industry learning for like-minded professionals to really learn all the different capabilities, the challenges, the objectives, goals of other companies that are piloting or looking to use wearable technology in their operations, whether that's to innovate operations, innovate on health and safety, increasing operational efficiency. There's really, the list goes on with all the uses and the things that are being discussed today, but cross-industry from oil and gas to healthcare to retail to every industry you can think of.
So basically we're talking about an across-the-board approach?
Absolutely, and there's just so much to learn from, early on in our research, we spoke with Todd Lynn from Rogers O'Brien, who learned a lot from Google Glass, that a doctor friend that was using Google Glass, and they were using it in their training operations within the construction company. Training some of the new employees. There was a huge need for more experts, and the experts in the field were kind of getting old, retiring, and there was a huge kind of training issue. So they were using Google Glass on the younger folks out in the field to kind of train with their higher end experts in the office.
Awesome. For the rest of our guests, how would you define wearable technology in a way that we can all understand what wearable technology is all about? Dr. Grossman, for example, that you're sort of a Michio Kaku for the future of healthcare.
Well, wearable technologies is a pretty wide range of things. It's obviously, as the word entails, it's technology that is on you, technology that is different to a computer or a device that is separated from you. A wearable technology can be a sensor, it can be a Fitbit, it could be an Oura ring, it could be a Google Glass or a smart glass that it's on you, that it's augmenting, that is exponentially bringing your capabilities up to a level that you couldn't without that device.
See that?
Well, I think I can. My view of things. I'm going to tell you a few things about medicine. I believe that the way we practice is non-scalable in many ways. There's a paucity of surgeons or physicians, for that matter, for a whole diversity of patients. So we need to augment the presence that we have in the world, so we can actually take care of all the needs for that. And by teaching other people, I think that's a very romantic way how we can do that, and we need to rely on technology for that matter, and the use of information and communication technologies makes lots of sense. And the use of wearables for that matter, by implementing those ICTs into pretty much any area of our body, makes a lot of sense. Here we have seen a lot of head-mounted displays, but you could think about pretty much any sort of area of your body where you can have anything as simple as a sensor or something very sophisticated as an artificial intelligence engine that it can help us with those functions. So that's how I see wearables. They have changed in the last few years dramatically. I think they're going to become more and more sophisticated, more and more minimized, and maybe at some point there will be even implantables and not just wearables. We'll have to see.
Ms. Saelzer.
Yeah, the way I see wearables is that, like they said, it's going to enhance our capabilities, but it also has to give this sense that you can do everything seamless, right? It's not going to be entering your information on the phone, it's not going to be entering your information on your tablet. So everything has to be user-friendly and seamless to the user, so that we are not, we don't have an extra effort to make to pass this information along to the people who need to get it.
Instant heads up, hands free.
Yeah,
Need
yeah.
it right away.
And earlier we were talking about how in health insurance, right, could be optimized, and people wanted to get these rewards. They will be able to enter their information, and was it wearables necessary or not? And I think it was necessary, because if I need to make another step to enter my information, then I would skip it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Dr. Grossman, what was your first experience with a wearable device?
Well, I think that the first, probably the best first experience I had was with Google Glass. I was blessed to be able to attend Singularity University, the Future Med program, which is called Exponential Medicine nowadays. And that was back in early 2013, and I was one of the many fantastic classes we had was by Babak Parvis, who was the inventor, one of the inventors of Google Glass. And when I saw Babak demo what the Google Glass could do, live there, I was just amazed of the possibilities immediately in my head that we could apply that little head-mounted computer to what we do in healthcare to try to bridge the gap and to try to improve on what we do in healthcare. Healthcare is in real trouble in many senses, from cost to errors. And I think that we can certainly make it better by using technology like that. So I started sort of cornering him, trying to get a set of Google Glass, and I was lucky to get one of the very early ones. I was then, actually the next day I got my glass, I went to Paris at the Doctors 2.0 conference, which is a fantastic conference in Paris every year in June that Denise Silver organizes. And I, during my talk, wore the Google Glass, and people was amazed because no one had ever, probably shown Google Glass in a conference, at least not in a medical conference. And then I saw, wow, I'm into something, in a way. And then a few days later, I was lucky to organize a surgery. I basically, it was very easy. It was not a big deal, really. I just streamed my view of the surgery to a group of students in the next door. And rather than them being behind me, trying to watch what I was doing, a very simple surgery, but it could have been any surgery, then I was just streaming the live audio and video content, and not just streaming, but able to ask them questions and to answer their questions as they were looking at the operation from my point of view through the glass. So, and I think that was a very, again, intuitive, easy way to make use of a fantastic technology to solve one of the problems that we have in surgery, as Homero was saying, telemetry. Teaching someone from the perspective of the surgeon is very difficult, and that can really augment the way you teach. They augment your presence, extend your reach to places where, wherever you have connectivity, then the surgery can be there. And after that, it was just a number of Homero did a surgery with Spain with Dr. Guillen, right next someone else did. So because it's intuitive, it's really not a big achievement. It's just a thing. It's about the smart idea behind the technology more than about the technology itself.
That's right. Dr. Homero Rivas here was actually in regards to our company, Reuters, and our software, Australia. Dr. Rivas was our first, and still is, our first prescriptor, our first opinion leader. And you have a very strong background on education when it comes to wearable devices, Dr. Rivas. And that experience with, streaming a surgery, assistant Dr. Pedro Guillen in Madrid, to 300 universities worldwide, I believe it was. Yes, tell us about it, because that was quite a shocker.
Well, I think just not to underestimate what was done at that point. I would have to say once again what Rafael has mentioned, that it's not just the technology itself, but the concept of actually taking that same presence, that experience to the world. Perhaps as a matter of fact, Google, I don't think they ever intended to bring this to healthcare initially. It was something that many of us just took and make it another technology that we use in the operating room and outside the operating room, but I don't think they were ever prepared for that. Telementoring and doing telemedicine, we've been doing that for a number of years, and we had some other technologies that were very basic with the use of phones, the use of just cameras and things like that. So it's with no question, when we have such an amazing platform like Glass was at that point, it is a phenomenal way how you can utilize it. I think we continue day by day searching for even better devices. And much like the rest of the panel here will say, I think we're in the infancy of wearables, for that matter. I think there's so much more to do. I think it's fascinating, and I applaud what Brain Exchange has done today and tomorrow. With the cross-fertilization of very different backgrounds of people coming to share their ideas, because we learn so much from each other, and one of the things that I may not be able to do in healthcare because of regulation, they may be able to do it, and the other way around. And I think that is critical. Going back to what you were mentioning, I think it was unique, fascinating, the way that we were able to share a simple experience with lots of people. And I believe that is just the same way that we will continue doing things with other wearables.
I see. Well, it is not every day that we have the chance of listening to someone who comes from a company, a major company like Lockheed Martin. It's not every day that we have the opportunity. So now we're gonna pass the buck on Mrs. Saelzer. How was your first experience with a wearable device, and how, if whatever you're allowed to say, how do you use it?
My first experience was with a virtual reality display, so similar to our Oculus Rift that is so commonly used now for video games. But in Lockheed, we have our own device, and we developed it ourselves, and it's our own hardware, because our capabilities with the image processing is very heavy, right? So then we needed a device that would take more image processing, that would be higher resolution display. So all of these things is what we created, and when I put it on and being able to really be transported into a different environment, I mean, to me that was very unique, even though augmented reality is very cool too. Virtual reality, it allows you to experience another environment, not only for industry or training or simulation, what we have seen in industry, but also entertainment, right? People use it for concerts, for I've seen they have uses on how a model walks the wrong way, right? And they use that kind of thing, and it's just so many experiences that a regular person wouldn't be able to have if they didn't have this kind of technology.
I see. We still don't have a wearable called Scotty, by the way, and we should have one. In this case, Andrew, in this case, there are people out there right now, and they are watching this video, And so, and they would say, well, about these wearable devices and all these wearable stuff, why should I care? What would you say to them?
There's literally something for everyone. I spoke with Sherman Williams. You might have to edit that out at some point, but they're using augmented reality with their paint on bridges. So, like for example, if they're doing a new bridge construction, they're using augmented reality. Not sure exactly which devices, they wouldn't reveal that, but and then they would paint certain marks on the bridge when they're doing construction, so that they could use. You know, it's another construction example, but Sherwin-Williams was the end user. You know, that just goes to show you, like, there's so many different examples. I've heard so many crazy, you know, bizarre pilots going on, and there's just the opportunities are unlimited. You know, American Bureau of Shipping, you know, handles everything from oil out in the ocean, you know, oil pipelines out in the ocean, everything in the ocean. They're looking at literally every device from exoskeletons to augmented reality to virtual reality to drones to 3D printing, anything you can think of, you know, even outside of wearables. But, you know, wearables is just one component of everything that they're doing. That's what fascinates me. I mean, there's just so many cool use cases, and we have just about everything at an event like this. And, you know, we're going to just keep building off of all the use cases we keep finding.
Well, we have two great surgeons here with us. I will ask them in regards to healthcare and in this case, medical education. Why should people care out there?
Well, I think you know, healthcare is one of those important areas in life, and like I said before, healthcare is certainly not anywhere close to what it should be. And I think technology certainly has the potential to, if used smartly, to solve many of those problems. And it's not just health care, but it's, you know, it's prevention, it's treatment, it's rehabilitation, it's you know, medical education, telemetry. You know, like Homero was saying, the lack of providers worldwide is just in the millions, and people is not getting any younger or any healthier. People, in fact, is living longer, so you're gonna need more providers. You need to train more providers. You know, the economy is not, you know, thriving in many places, and one of the first things that are cut in regards to finances is the education of new providers. So it's really a perverse cycle, and I think that the wearable device is used in a way that we have described, and many other ways that we haven't even probably imagined yet, because the devices might not even exist. That's going to help out.
I think, you know, I mentioned this morning, healthcare probably has some of the biggest challenges, especially with regulations, with some of the changes in mindset, especially for providers, because we're so risk averse, we're so you know, averse to change, things like that. But with no question, healthcare has the greatest opportunities for any sort of company that has wearables. We represent nearly a fifth of the GDP in the US, nearly 20%. And if you can improve efficiencies in this healthcare system, if you can scale the production of the work that providers do, with no question is a huge value proposition for any wearable technology. Just to think about something so simple, like for example, medication adherence. Medication adherence represents a $350 billion market just to remind people to take their medication, because people just don't. If you find a way how you can improve that with wearables, I mean, that's a huge opportunity for anyone. And just like that, think about many other opportunities that have profound social value and that also would have profound economic value. And it's, as I said, a phenomenal opportunity for providers, administrators, but very, very especially for patients.
For patients, of course.
And yeah, and I was going to say just real quick, education simulations certainly seem the most direct way how we can use wearables at this point because of regulations that we have in healthcare. But even then, just by educating and simulating before we actually implement it in clinical care makes lots of sense.
Mrs. Saelzer, Working for a company like Lockheed Martin, where do you see wearability is taking us? Let's see, our last lecture today and at the summit was about the future of wearable devices and in relation to what is called the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is the second step of Internet beyond the Internet of People that has been until now. Where is it taking us?
I think for us, you know, we have talked a lot about the head wearables and we have to take it beyond that, right? We already went from phones, we already went for head wearables. I would like to see, you know, even transporting, and I think some universities are already experimenting with this, transferring smells like with a message, right?
Yeah.
Email how your coffee smells or haptics. You know, it really has to be a full experience or other than the visual factor. And I think that's where we're going. We're going for a full experience that is not only your visual sense, but it's like how do you sense things, how do you smell things, how do you hear things. It goes beyond that.
It goes well beyond that.
Yeah.
Andrew, would you please
My
give us the
personal
grand
favorite
finale?
are exoskeletons. You know, one of the first calls I made when we started researching this space, it was Daewoo Shipping. We saw their exoskeleton in action, you know, somebody out in the shipyard picking up 500 pounds, just like it was nothing.
Wow.
I was like, they have to be at this event. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but the exoskeletons, even just in the last year that we've been kind of researching this space, have just progressed an enormous amount, and I have no doubt that we'll have some sort of exoskeleton presence at the next event. But that's my personal favorite for the future kind of looking things, and it's applicable in oil and gas, it's applicable in healthcare even, it's applicable in literally every industry, you know, warehousing, logistics, but that's always been my personal favorite.
Who would have ever thought that science fact was far stranger than science fiction?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Well, with this, we come to an end, and thank you very much to all of you for being here and for, streaming, we're going to say, for streaming these messages out there to people who otherwise would not have contact with what wearable technology is all about. Thank you very much, and good night to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.